Emmett Johnson. I asked the question, I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Was he going to be, not should he, because he should be, even at that point in time, was he going to be a first or second team All Big Ten performer? Basically him or Justice Haynes out of Michigan. Because we know he should be. The question was, would he be? I think it transcends that now. Is this a guy who's a legit All-America candidate? Is this a guy who could be in the running for a Doak Walker Award? And Jake, here's what I started to see going around. And I don't want to say people were getting a little crazy with this. I think there's a difference between what should be, again, and what could be. As far as a dark horse Heisman Trophy candidate. Again, should he be in the conversation? Yeah, he's doing things nobody's done all year. He's the second leading rusher in the nation, 1,131 yards. He's only 50 yards behind. Okay. Let me look at the exact name. The guy plays for Arkansas State. He's only 50. Come on, work. All right. He's only 50 yards behind him. Let me get his exact name here. Cam Cook for Jacksonville State, who has 1,181 rushing yards. They have identical averages. He has way more receiving yards. So, leading rusher in the conference, could be the leading rusher in the country before the year's done. When you look at 100 receiving, 100 rushing yards in the same game, first FBS player to do it all year. Only, was it Cam Scatterbo a year ago? The monster that he is the last time to do it, last guy to do it. And the last time it was done. When I say what could or what should be, like he's been underrated, not really talked about all year, even coming into the season. I would point out to Jake, I'm like, I feel like people just take for granted Emmett Johnson. Who's our backup? That was the big talking point, and rightfully so. That was a concern. We know who it is now, Isaiah Mosey, but all offseason. I mean, Mosey wasn't even a running back at one point in the offseason, so it was rightfully a topic of conversation. But my thing, when it comes to conversations like this, whether right or wrong, how many wins your team has an overall whole is going to play a factor in. I don't think anybody's ever won the Heisman Trophy whose team hasn't won at least 9 games. When it comes to a Doak Walker Award, when it comes to an All-American candidacy, it's along the same lines. Is it almost like, I don't want to say it's too late, but the earlier you get into the conversation, the better. So let me know your thoughts on all this on the text line. What's that number there, Jake?
402-464-5685.
And I want to get your initial reaction. Before we do, as always, we want to give a shout out to our good friends, all right, at Mulberry Barbecue. Because you know what? It's the lunch hour here on the Adam Carriker Show on the Ticket. It's sponsored by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue. Now with 2 numero dos locations at 11th and Cornhusker and 61st and Apples Way, right off of Highway 2 by Lowe's. Both locations are open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Try their burn-in sandwich, a brisket burrito, barbecue nachos, full slab of ribs, half-smoked chicken, and much more. Plus incredible sides. Get fueled for lunch today or make dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue, located at 11th and Cornhusker and at 61st and Apples Way, just off of Highway 2 by Lowe's. What are your thoughts? First of all, should it, healthy season, finish strong, continue playing the way he's been playing? Should it be a lock that he's first team All Big Ten? All-American Doak Walker candidacy, dark horse for the Heisman. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think it'll be interesting, especially when you kind of look at and factor in the injury situation, which is in play for Justice Haynes over there at Michigan. So, I think that's, you just look at overall, yeah, he's got the number, but Justice Haynes, even, in the straight-up game against Emmett Johnson, ran for 149 yards that day and a touchdown. Now, he's not near the receiving threat that Emmett Johnson is out of the backfield, but he does average 7.1 yards per carry. I don't necessarily think Emmett Johnson is even a lock to be the first of the first 2, but there's 2 running backs in All Big Ten. So I think he's pretty much, like you said, if things go on as they have been, he'll be a first team All Big Ten running back. And then, from there, you got a pretty good chance at All-American, Doak Walker, like you're saying. I would stop short of Heisman Trophy. Not that there's an obvious choice. I mean, Fernando Mendoza, because part of it, the reasoning is okay, well, where's this Heisman moment? Can it happen in these final games against Penn State? Well, Fernando Mendoza might have had his against Penn State this last weekend. So, but it very much seems to be a quarterback award, or at least those that they're in there. I love what he's doing. It's not Ashton Genty's season, right? I mean, so you have to have a spectacular season to kind of be in that category in my mind. Now, he could get there if he really blows up in these final few games and he finished with 9 wins, maybe. Um, I don't know if I would say invited, but you look at like the kind of top 8 that usually gets released, somewhere around there, maybe top 10, could be in that conversation. But I do think he's also just going to be overlooked nationally as he has been, partially because Nebraska. Again, you're looking for that Heisman moment. You're looking for when are you doing it against who? And while we're having a great season, we're excited. It's not quite game breaking news or the lead story on ESPN. His season so far. So I don't mean that to deter that or anything like that. I just feel like he's probably still a little bit out of the Heisman race. Or I think it'd be a little bit too early to talk about it.
I think with the Heisman, I'm going to keep this short. I just saw people talking about it. I saw a video on X that got like 3,000 likes or whatever. I was like, really? People are, okay, we'll address it then. So my thoughts are this. I think when you look at the top 10 to 15 vote getters, I could see him in the top 10, maybe 15. But you've either got to come into the season with a little bit more publicity, you got to get it early on, or you got to have that big Heisman moment. And where you're just not going to get that. I mean, Iowa now has 3 losses. They're not ranked. Penn State is 3-6. Even UCLA is now 3-6. So people are going to take that into consideration. All right. So for me, that's not Emmett's fault. If you notice, everything I just talked about, he can't control any piece of that. Like none of that is something that's within his control. With what he can control, he's had a phenomenal season. When you talk about all Big Ten, the injury is going to factor in with Justice Hayes. You said there is 2 running backs. Even if there was only 1, it should be Emmett, in my humble opinion. So you start to talk All-American candidacy. He's absolutely got to be in that. You look at some of this other stuff. Since 1995, Emmett Johnson is now since 1995. I know for you that, and for me, that seems like yesterday, just for perspective. That was 30 years ago, Jake. Just okay. So in the past 30, I love it when I get to feel old. All right, Emmett Johnson is now the first Big Ten player in a single game to record since 1995, 30 years, 125 plus rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, 100 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. He touched the ball 32 times, over 30 touches for the second straight game. So for me, when it comes to the Doak Walker Award, he should All-American candidacy, he should be first, second, third team. It's kind of like I said coming into the season, and I said this repeatedly, Dylan should be something honorable mention, something all Big Ten, whether it's first team to third team to honorable mention. Obviously, the injury is going to hamper that. But with Emmett, I said the same thing. Well, now he's got to be in that conversation for All-America candidacy. Somewhere between first to third team at worst. And I think he should be a finalist at worst, a semifinalist for the Doak Walker Award. What he's doing, the way he's doing it, the amount of times he touches the ball, the way he impacts the game running the ball, the way he impacts the game catching the ball, the way UCLA, we played a clip of UCLA's head coach, and I didn't play a clip of one of their leading players on defense because the head coach said the same thing. So basically the entire UCLA defense was like, focus on that guy. And that guy still destroyed them. It was 11-on-1, it seemed like. This is actually, I'm stealing this from UCLA's own Barstool account. It's 11-on-1 and Emmett Johnson's still winning. That's what they said on Twitter. So that has to be factored in. He's doing a great job. That goes without saying. There's got to be some recognition at the end of the season. And I know you don't like it when I point this out, but different people see things differently. And sometimes things are so obvious and they can still be missed. You're ready to give me a dirty look? Because the last time I brought this up, you gave me a dirty look, and then we'll move on. You're ready?
I'm ready.
He couldn't even get on the field at this time last year. Okay, can we move on now? You didn't give me the dirty look. You're busy reading comments, aren't you? Like, there are things that are missed. And so sometimes a fresh set of eyes can change a whole lot of things. You never know who, if just given the opportunity, could burst on the scene. If this little change is made on offense, how big of a difference it could make. This change on defense. A coaching change in a unit. Maybe that unit could become, pun intended, badly, if you think it is, special teams unit. Like, things like this can make a ginormous difference. Is there anything from the text line on this?
Yeah, there's a thought here. Frost says, why are we talking about Haynes? He's out for the year, which he might be. He did get surgery. They're
Jake brought him up.
Back.
That's directed at you. So I want that to be known.
I mean, again,
that's directed at you.
He's averaging like 7.1 yards per carry. I mean this in all due respect. I think he was the best running back in the Big Ten, previous to his injury. Emmett Johnson is going to be right in there. And again, I think he could be, I think he's certainly, health is part of it, right? So, but I do think similar to JoJo Doman, if you remember. He played like 8 games, was second team All-American. I mean, if you can see it, at certain times they'll still reward you there. Then others feel like I'm being too negative, and so they want this.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Bad news.
You know what I think? I think people just want to hear that. That's what I think. I think that's something that's kind of like catching on because people are starting to mention that to me more. I've got some bad news for you. I wonder if I could reach out to Wade Barrett. I don't know Wade Barrett. I wonder if the wrestler who does that. I wonder if I could reach out to a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who knows 10 other guys who maybe could reach out to Wade. Maybe I could do that. Maybe there's that chain in there. I could start getting the dominoes to fall. We could try to bring Wade on. I bet he would pop big time for that, by the way.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what other info we got here. By the way, my favorite picture from the game, I know the whole cheerleader picture, like all the cheerleaders staring at Emmett like, whoa, that was the big. I liked the Heisman pose, not because of Emmett and the Heisman, because the lineman got in on it with him. That was my favorite part of that. My favorite play from the game, as much as the O-line has been critiqued this year, that's a good word to use, critiqued, my favorite play from the game was the screen pass to Emmett Johnson. And I'm gonna diatribe a couple reasons why it was my favorite. Number one, and I'm not the first one to point this out, but I'm going to point it out again because you can't point this stuff out enough. Because I'm telling you right now, as a big, rather large defensive lineman that I used to be, now I'm just a big, rather large radio host, but we were not running 30, 40 yards downfield consistently unless we were bought into what was going on. You are not going to have offensive linemen 30, 40, 50 yards downfield. Spindler, Justin Evans, those guys downfield blocking on a screenplay unless they are bought in. That is pure effort and grit, and you ain't going to get that from everybody, let alone an entire unit like that, unless they are bought in. As critiqued, and rightfully so, as the offensive line has been this year, and the offensive line coach, and it's all been rightfully so. 9 freaking sacks, 7 freaking sacks, 5 freaking sacks. Been much better lately in the rushing game department as a whole. Been better lately when it comes to protecting the quarterback. Some of that's Emmett. Some of that's the play calling. Some of that's the offensive line. Give them their credit. Donovan has those guys bought in to where they're going to run their big, fat rear ends. I can say it because I have it too. 50 yards downfield and block. You don't get that a lot. That is my favorite play from the game. That's reason number one. Number two, did you notice the play design? Like it was to Emmett. It was a screenplay to Emmett down the left sideline. Did you notice what the play looked like initially? Wide receiver screen in Isaiah. If you've noticed, ever since Maryland, teams are ready for that play. Like it's been pointed out in film study. Players have been screamed at after they're told to wake up and take notes. They've been screamed at in film session. They're going to run this. We can't give up a 56-yard touchdown to them. This guy runs 22 miles per hour that catches the ball with only one cleat on. We can't allow this thing to get out the gate. Every team has been prepared for it. And in fact, we tried that screenplay. We got like 5 yards. It wasn't great. I don't know.
Kind of got blown up.
Yeah, I wasn't going to point that out. Play the bad news thing again. Bad news box strikes again.
I was pointing it out. I mean,
you don't have to mumble. I give you all the credit in the world for that. Fans love it, dude. You came up with that. You put it together. That was great. All right. But it was a fake screen in Isaiah Hunter with the offensive lineman leaking out behind him, and then Emmett leaking out the back going down the left sideline. I love the play design. Nobody had seen that in a game. They had seen the wide receiver screen. They're ready for that. Now you throw another wrinkle at them. And you got offensive linemen bought in. So I love the play design. I love the play call, and I love the way it was executed, starting with the big hog mollies up front. They've been called so many things over the years, the big uglies, the wide bodies. How about we call them the big beautifuls? You do something like that, and I'm going to start calling that position group the big beautifuls. How's that sound, Jake?
It does sound good. And I mean, I know part of this was TJ Lateef too, but 0 sacks on the day. So the offensive line has been improving. Again, part of that being maybe the quarterback and the game plan going in. But told me that, late September. I said, I don't know.
that would have been a fair critique or concern,
yeah.
So to speak. So I want to give them a shout out on that because it's rightfully deserved. Just like other things earlier in the season were rightfully deserved at that time. All right. Anything else off the text line? Anybody else who's, I was going to say coming at you. I don't want to highlight people coming at you, Jake. I don't want to do that. That's not nice of me. Is there anything off the text line in general?
There are some thoughts here. Ohio Huskers says too late this year, but we'll be in the conversation next year.
Hold on. That's where I was going to go before we close this. He should already be on the pre-Heisman boards for next year before we ever take a snap in our first game. Go ahead.
Derek in the car says, how much is there left to do? Heisman candidate is not a stretch. He plays on a winning team. Bob says, nothing spectacular against Cincinnati, and I think Michigan shutting him down on the ground early in the season kept him out of this conversation. Those games are with big audiences, and he didn't catch anyone's attention.
That's fair points. Fair points.